Okay, the progressives are feeling emboldened after the President Biden backed the fundamentally challenge backed fundamentally challenging the changing the filibuster, and he's added a jolt of momentum into the entrenched um, Senate stalemate. Biden's comments that were made during a town hall came after weeks of activists and Democratic lawmakers feeling frustrated that Biden wasn't leaning into the fight against the Senate rule, which is a major roadblock for many of his administration priorities. Um, the remarks don't the remarks don't automatically change the math problem. Democrats don't have 50 votes for changes to the filibuster right now, but they are the latest sign of growing pressure on the Senate Democrats to reform this rule. That we think that this is a huge step forward and obviously a game changer. This is what Eli Zupnik, a spokesperson for Fix Our Senate, said. It would be a big disappointment if he made all those comments in a town hall and didn't follow up on them. I think the expectation and hopes is that he follows up with significant pressure on public and private no matter what. Ezra Levin, who's a co-executive director of the Indivisible, said Biden's comments builds up pressure for there to be some sort of comeback, come to Jesus moment after reconciliation. He all but said, "I will be pushing key holdouts," Levin said. Biden has long appeared weary of nuking the rules of the Senate, where he served for decades. That's frustrated progressives who worry that without nixing, or at least significantly changing the filibuster, which necessitates 60 votes for most legislation, much of the party's agenda is dead on arrival in the chamber. Repugs, for example, blocked a revised election reform bill this week and are poised to block a voting rights bill named after the late Representative John Lewis, the Democrat from Georgia. Um, when it comes to the floor as soon as next week, bipartisan talks on issues including police reform, the immigration reform, and expanded background checks have also unraveled as Democrats have struggled to come up with a deal that can get at least 10 GOP votes needed to break a filibuster. Now, Biden had previously embraced the idea of talking the filibuster where senators objecting to the bill they must speak continuously from the Senate floor, but he went significantly further during this town hall in Baltimore. Um, I propose that we bring that back now immediately. Biden said, talking about the filibuster before adding, but I also think that we're going to have to move to the point where we fundamentally alter the filibuster. Biden pointed to the recent fight over the debt ceiling, where Repugs threatened for weeks that they wouldn't help advance a debt hike before backtracking and providing 11 GOP votes for the short-term increase. If that gets pulled again, I think you're going to see an awful lot of Democrats being ready to say, "Not me. I'm not doing that again. We're going to end that filibuster." But it still is difficult to end the filibuster beyond that, he said. He added that he was open to fundamentally altering the legislative filibuster, including on voting rights and maybe more beyond that. Biden's remarks won immediate praise from progressives and activists, and we're glad to hear that Biden call back to bring back the talk and filibuster. If Repugs want to block enormously popular policies like protections for freedom to vote, they should have to hold the floor and do it in public, said Senator Jeff Merkley, who's a Democrat from Oregon, a longtime advocate for the Senate rules reform. But the remarks don't immediately change the dynamics within the caucus. To get rid of the 60 vote legislative filibuster or change it in any way, Democrats need total unity from all 50 of their members, plus the Vice President Kamala Harris to serve as the tiebreaker. But closet repug senators Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are opposed to nixing the filibuster, and Manchin in particular has voiced opposition for the idea of passing a carve-out that would exempt what they call the specific issues from the 60-vote requirement. While the closet repugs, Manchin and Sinema are the biggest targets of the filibuster angst, several senators are viewed as wary of potentially changing it. Democrats are also racing to finalize a deal on Biden's sweeping social spending bill, which they are using the arcane budget rules to pass without needing the repug support in the Senate. But Democrats and Biden don't view it as politically savvy to pressure Manchin and Sinema and others on filibuster reform while at the same time needing their votes in the spending package. Biden is expected to lean more heavily into the filibuster reform discussions after the spending bill and a separate bipartisan infrastructure bill are through Congress, which Democrats hope they can complete in a matter of weeks. If in fact I get myself into at this moment the debate on the filibuster, I lose at least 3 votes right now to get what I have to get done on the economic side of the equation. On the foreign policy side of the equation, this is what Biden said during his town hall. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki had added on Friday that Biden would have more to say in the upcoming weeks. Democrats also think that they are nearing a long anticipated conversation about what, if anything, they'll be able to do on changing the Senate rules. Democrats have tried to drive home the message to holdouts within their own caucus that repugs won't help them pass top priorities, such as voting rights, by repeatedly bringing bills up to the floor and forcing the repug senators to vote them down. A recent standoff over the debt ceiling also provided unexpected momentum among the Senate Democrats for creating the carve-out for the 60-vote rule for that legislation, basically, into the nation's borrowing limit. Congress now has until roughly December 3rd to pass a long-term debt ceiling extension. There are 2 senators who have said that they won't do this, although even they might have voted for a carve-out on the debt ceiling. It was them telling Senate repug leader Mitch McConnell, and that basically led him to come up with an extension, said Senator Tim Kaine, who's a Democrat from Virginia. And there are a number of ideas about the way to facilitate passing out a bill like this without abolishing the filibuster. Kaine said, referring to voting rights legislation, we'll start having those discussions ASAP. Some of the ideas that have been floated or discussed among Democratic senators, according to the senators and sources familiar with the discussion, they are passing a carve-out for specific issues and changing the requirement from supporters needing to get the 60 votes to the opposition needing to put up 41 votes in the idea of talking the filibuster. Though there is confusion with the caucus about how that would work, including what that would mean for the 60-vote threshold. Some senators have also floated smaller rule changes, such as skipping over an initial 60-vote hurdle that most bills need to overcome to even come up for debate, much less pass the Senate. But those ideas are fluid, and they would need support from all 50 Democrats to be enacted. The filibuster reform advocates acknowledge that while Biden's support is significant, it might not be enough to win over the closet repugs Sinema and Manchin. It's Congress, for God's sake. Even though there is no God, but few people have lost money on betting that they're not going to get something crucial done, Levin said. Our argument has never been once the president gets in, it's game over, we won, he added. It's just that it is necessary condition for success. Is it sufficient? Time will tell, but I think there remains a narrow path to a victory here. So if you liked the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.